What a wonderful Monday. What a wonderful Monday to sit here and just relax. It's the bye week. We're all relaxing as Eagle fans right now. 8-1, but definitely a lot to discuss. This doesn't say that things need to be fixed and other things that don't need to be talked about definitely need to be talked about here regarding Dallas Goedert's injury. We're going to talk about Nakobe Dean a little bit. That heard some things last night that, kind of turned my head a little bit on certain things that I was afraid to hear. And a few other things too. So I don't want to make this a 2-hour-long video, but let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yeah, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So definitely a lot to talk about here regarding Dallas Goedert's injury with the broken forearm. So it looks like he's going to be missing about 4 weeks. Now, from the news I did hear about this injury, and I thought it was, a lot of people are going to call it was a dirty play by the cornerback. I understand that 100%, but the corner that was on him, I forgot who it was. I'm just trying to remember. He couldn't tackle Dallas Goedert to the ground, so the only way he can really take him down was, grabbing a body part and just using all his weight to bring him down, and that's pretty much what happened. People are going to say it was dirty, but it was the only way he was going to make the tackle, so I can't really put too much on it. But now, was this injury a clean broken bone in his forearm, or was it a hairline fracture? Usually, from what I read, is that a fully broken forearm, a clean break is going to take, I think, more time. I guess I think 3 to 6 months, and if it's a hairline fracture, it's only going to be like 4 weeks or something like that. I thought hairline fractures they take more time to heal than clean breaks. I think clean breaks actually heal faster, which is kind of weird. But he's going to be out for 4 weeks. So really we're going to be off, he'll be off these next 2 weeks. He just had surgery. And we'll get him back. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate. It is what it is. The Eagles, had to deal with this. This was really like the second, I wouldn't even say the third game, mostly the second game where it was a big game for Dallas Goedert, obviously on the 4th and 3 in the first drive, and then had that big one in the second half, so he's, I think, it's been a process trying to get Dallas Goedert involved, what BrianJohnson's doing. But, I mean, people have gone on Twitter literally nonstop talking about the injury and, talking about, what are they going to do? How much do we have trust in Jax Stall? Jax Stall being a big receiver that has reliable hands and, can get separation at times. But, his value has always been great for the Eagles because his blocking is just, it's crazy. Calcaterra has dealt with a concussion the past couple weeks. He'll be back most likely, but how much trust do they have in Calcaterra at this point? People are going nuts on Twitter even to say, oh, let's go sign Rob Gronkowski. No. I don't know why Eagle fans think they have to go get another prime talent or a guy that hasn't even been in the league in a bit. And I know you got to work in-house for what you have. And trust me, if you have a good scheme, you can make all of this work. There were even people saying a good idea to bring Tyreek Jackson back. I know he signed with the practice squad for the Giants, but Tyreek Jackson was a big project for us the past few years. Unfortunately, he's just been hurt most of the time. He's 6'8", he's got long arms, big hands, and always thought there was something there with him. But like I said, it's just after a while, the Eagles just couldn't hold on to him anymore, and hence why they make the trade for Albert O from Denver, which I think Albert O could be the next best tight end on this team. He did go in for a little bit after the injury, but mostly it was Jax Stall that was in most of the time throughout the game. But I would try to get Albert O. Albert O has been a starter in this league. That's the great thing about our tight ends. The Eagles kept 4 tight ends this year. Albert O has pretty much been a healthy scratch every week because I think he's a future piece for this team. Potentially could be a starting tight end for this team if they don't hang on to Dallas Goedert after his next contract. So, so I don't think they're going to keep 4 tight ends every year. This is the first time where I was kind of really surprised they kept 4 tight ends. They kept 7 corners, 4 tight ends, 4 running backs. So the 4 tight end thing really did confuse me a little bit. But the Albert O trade, I could see why the Eagles traded for him. And I think at this point, he could be, get him more acclimated to the offense. And he makes big plays. I'm a big fan of Albert O. And that trade, the Eagles barely gave up anything because, they were last on the waiver wire during the offseason. There was no way that he was going to drop through the waiver wire all the way down to the Eagles straight at the bottom. So it is to see what happens. But like I said, with a good scheme, I don't see why this can't work or Or, maybe they won't use as much tight ends this week. Maybe they won't do too much. Whether, if it's a run play or something, maybe they'll use tight ends for blocking. But you can always put in Swift as a wideout. They can always put Julio Jones out there. They can always add some extra guys. They can put Gainwell and DeAndre Swift on the field at the same time, which I really did like too, because it's more mismatches for the Eagles. So they can always sacrifice not having a tight end on the field for something else, for certain plays. So, Dallas Goedert's got to heal up. So he'll be back before the next Dallas game in 5 weeks. So he'll be healed up, ready to go. And he'll definitely make sure that this doesn't happen again. I mean, it's out of his control. He just got his arm grabbed, dragged to the ground, and that was it. It just happens. So that's the whole thing on the Dallas Goedert injury. So 4 weeks, we're very lucky right now. It's a loss for the offense, but they can definitely compensate for it because the Eagles could do so many different things with this offense if BrianJohnson is smart enough. So we'll see. Now, a lot of news on Nakobe Dean. Now, I listened to a lot of stuff last night. Nakobe Dean might be ruining this linebacker core. And I'm a big fan of Nakobe Dean. I think the Eagles are forcing him to start as many games as possible to try to break, try to lure something out of him to make him, I just don't think that he's playing up to par. And to be honest with you, and this is just for me to not put hate on Nakobe Dean, is I felt like when he was out the second time with an injury, I think it was a foot injury or something like that, they played better. I thought Zach Cunningham played a good game the other day, by the way. He played fantastic. Nicholas Morrow, I think, needs more opportunity at times, depending on how many guys are on the field and, what package they're in and stuff like that. I don't know if Nakobe Dean's really helping this defense. I think they're forcing him to play. Not that Nakobe Dean doesn't want to play, but I think they're forcing him to a point where they're just trying to see, they just need him to flourish, and he's not flourishing enough. And I understand, I think Zach Cunningham is the best player that plays in zone, takes really good angles on tackles, and does a good job. And Nicholas Morrow, when they blitz, I think Nicholas Morrow is fantastic and is a tackling machine at times. But Nakobe Dean, I don't know. I don't know if this is making us better or this is making us worse. And Nakobe Dean's hurt with a third injury. Third injury already. He missed a lot of valuable time in the offseason. You miss a lot of the joint practices and all the time with your teammates. I think he had a hamstring or it was an ankle or something like that. And then obviously having, I think, 2 foot injuries. He has a foot injury right now. So he'll probably be back after the bye week. But, I know Cilio talks some things about him that he's not physically or mentally capable to play the position. And I don't know. I'm not saying he's not capable, but I don't think it's making a difference right now. I think our linebackers are a lot better. And yes, if Nakobe Dean's going to be out, they have to bring some depth in. So I don't know what they're going to do there. But they got to figure this out. And I don't want to say this is Nakobe Dean's rookie year, in my opinion. This isn't, people are thinking, oh, Nakobe Dean's going into his second year. This isn't his second year. He had sample sizes last year and he was flashing a lot. And we were like, damn. Because Kaiser White didn't do much of anything last year. And, TJ Edwards was really our best linebacker last year. But this year is literally his rookie year. And he's already been hurt 3 times. And I just feel like the linebacker core is better without Nakobe Dean for this year. And I don't want to say that, but I don't want to lie either and say that they've been playing better with Nakobe Dean on the field because I think his coverage hasn't been great. I'm not saying all the linebackers can cover. I think when it comes to zone, package, stuff like that, I think Morrow and Cunningham are a little bit better. Cunningham especially. The 2 one-year deal players are playing better than your third-round pick right now. Okay. It's unfortunate. I think at the end of this year, they're going to definitely re-sign Zach Cunningham, most likely. One of these guys. Zach Cunningham should definitely come back for another year. I would love it because the Eagles don't put money into this position, unfortunately. And things might have to change sooner or later. You know what I mean? And they went into this season saying Nakobe Dean's going to start, will be good. They had a lot of high praise for him, but the injuries are nonstop. And when he gets back from injury again, he's got to get used to games. And it's a reoccurring thing over and over and over and over again. So the Eagles are going to have to compensate. And I say the word compensate so much because you're going to have Bradley Roby coming back. You're going to have Quez Watkins coming back sooner or later. I mean, he's on IR. I mean, after the bye week, Quez Watkins should be back. You know what I mean? So they're gonna have to try to see like what positions they need more depth on, and I know they need depth at linebacker because it's not enough. Are they gonna bring up out? If they're gonna bring up obviously some other guys if that's what they want to do. I just had a brain fart on a name that I'm not gonna say the wrong name. But Nakobe Dean is. To me, it's just not panning out right now. It's just he's not doing. It's just and it could be scheme. I mean, we got issues with a lot of things in our secondary right now. Okay, but it could be scheme, could be. But I think when it comes to coverage and it's not great. I don't think he's playing at the top of his game. It's technically his rookie year, and I have to give him a break on that for his first technically his first year as a starter. But I honestly think we've been playing better with Morrow and Zach Cunningham in there, and that's it. I think Nakobe Dean is not making this linebacker core better. I think it's worse at times. And I don't want to say that. I want him to play well. I'm just seeing what I'm seeing. And who knows, I could be wrong. I might be taking this out of context. I might be going too far with it. But I want to know what you guys think about that and really going forward. Lastly, I want to go over Josh Sweat. Man, what a fantastic year for Josh Sweat. I mean, he gets better and better every single year, and I can't complain about it at all. I mean, for really the year, he's got 6.5 sacks already for the season, and he's got 50 pressures, guys. 50! He's got as many pressures as Micah Parsons for the year. I mean, it's nuts, dude. 50 pressures in 9 games is pretty damn good. As well as the rest of this defensive line. I felt like throughout the game, it was really Hassan Reddick that was the only guy really getting pressure, and then Josh Sweat started to turn up, and then Fletcher Cox, and then Jalen Carter had a couple. I think we got held a couple times. I think Carter got held a couple times in this game, but God forbid, I got to blame it on something here. The refs have been the main part of this week for the Cowboy fans. So. But defensive line wise, I mean, Josh Sweat, I want to kind of single out in this video because he's just, man, I mean, he might hit double-digit sacks. It wouldn't surprise me. Him and Hassan Reddick could have double-digit sacks this season. The edge is playing really good. Obviously, Derek Barnett not playing in this game. They have to keep it that way and give more reps to Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith this is really Nolan Smith. I don't know how many snaps that Nolan Smith had, but I definitely saw him in there. So probably his biggest game when it comes to rep-wise in the rotation because Derek Barnett had 20% of the reps going into 8 games. And Derek Barnett had Nolan Smith only had 9% reps in the rotation, and Derek Barnett had 20%. It's just it's ridiculous. It's disgusting to even hear about those numbers like that. But yeah, Josh Sweaty is doing a fantastic job, and hope to see more from him. And I think we will. And these guys need a lot of rest this week, and it's a bye week for the Eagles, and we desperately needed this. I was so happy. Like, going into this game, I felt more comfortable during the Cowboys game because I was like, if anybody gets, knocked up, whatever, game gets banged up in this game, you have that bye week. So maybe, Nick felt more comfortable giving certain guys more reps, giving Swift a little bit more in the second half that they normally don't do at times. Which is good. So let me know what you guys think about the Dallas Goedert injury. What should they do here? Should they, kind of use Calcaterra, Jax Stall, maybe bring in Tyreek Jackson for a few weeks as, to see if somebody can get some playing time? Or do you think they should kind of compensate that and maybe use more Swift, maybe use more of your specialty weapons? You obviously have to block. I think Jax Stall will be a big part of it because he's great at blocking. So let me know what you guys think. It's very interesting. What are your thoughts on Nakobe Dean going to the rest of this year? How has he looked for, injured a third time now? So what is your move? What are your thoughts? And Josh Sweat with 50 pressures and 6.5 sacks. Great year. Fantastic year. You guys have a great day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes what up. Files 5. Peace out, guys. Peace.